Are you feeling a little bit bird curious? Well, have I got news for you. I've got just the club that fits that need. For anyone wondering about birds, have you ever heard about bird watching? Despite the controversy in the bird community, anyone could get involved in bird watching.
Both ways! Bird watching codes! Both ways!
Can you help me call the dogs?
Come here.
Good. Still some stubborn overcast here over the city. Look at this.
He's totally checking out the camera, Mark.
Yeah.
This happens. A flock of black birds swirl to the ground. It's like nothing you've ever seen before.
They're government drones. We all know it.
What do you think?
Because there were less birds when we were all in isolation during COVID. I would bring a repair kit to disassemble the birds.
I went out with Amanda on Sunday to Fort Pickens, and while I was there, I learned just how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Well, with birding, not only can you enjoy something pretty low stakes and exciting and go outside and look at cute little creatures, but it's also very, very cheap. In fact, you don't have to go far to go birding. Just walk outside. Look up and around. Pause. Observe your environment. You never know what kind of bird you're gonna see.
I'm gonna let Amanda tell a lot of the story here. She is the subject matter expert in the world of birds,
Just like the iconic
and
birder
I think
haunch.
she has a lot more to say than I do, probably. I'm just a guy. I'm just a silly, goofy guy. I don't know anything about birds. Amanda does. Listen to Amanda.
My name is Amanda Post, and I am a senior student at the University of West Florida, and I am part of the Audubon 2023-24 Conservation Leadership Initiative. Audubon is one of the oldest conservation organizations in the U.S. Specifically, Audubon Florida has been around for over 120 years. So there are different ways that students are being involved with Audubon. On a typical month, there are so many different bird outings where students can join birders who are, I wouldn't say professional, but they've been doing it for a lot longer and might have a bigger roster of birds they can identify, they know of, and you can join them to go on these awesome bird walks where together as a group you survey the environment and look for birds. And birds were the first big, for like the Western world in Florida, it was the first big reason why we had such a robust conservation effort, and it's been fundamental to the culture and the awareness, right? So it's like wagering the benefits of safeguarding bird habitat and sitting down and truly striking out policy and social interactions that help protect a little entity that may be overlooked by most. It's a world that expands itself through migration, but then also just calls for attention to the tiniest of details should you be so lucky to find the bird world around you. Florida is just so biodiverse, and there's so much that you can find and see. And the cool thing about birds is that here's the opportunity for you to see something that might not occur here that often, and the bird comes to you, and then you can go out there and like try to find it with your friends. And it's an opportunity to acquaint yourself with the systems in our area, and then you get to engage in a treasure hunt, and the treasure are the birds. So it is this like network where everyone has a really big heart for habitat conservation, for the well-being of the birds, and they're all really cool observers, and I love that perspective, especially when so much of life is just so busy to like settle down, be super quiet, and then hope to find a bird. You don't know if you will, but if you do, the payout is really exciting.
When I first pulled up to the meeting spot for this Audubon event, I mostly saw a gaggle of old people and assumed that was where I should migrate towards to get in. But then once I got in there, I actually met a couple other students. I actually met Domani from PSC, Pensacola State College. Domani was able to tell me everything about how their birding obsession started, their actual world tour. Domani traveled the world to go look at birds. Domani started looking at birds when they were like 14.
What I want people to know about birding is that anyone can get involved and do it. There's only 3 things that you need. An interest in birds, you have to have a good sense of wonder, you have to want to explore, you want to appreciate what you're seeing, even if you don't necessarily have a lot of knowledge about it yet. And you have to have a good sense of patience. There's a lot of times when we do stakeouts and we are just waiting for the bird to come out of the underbrush. But if you have those 3 things, you can be a birder. A great way to get into birding is going to a local Audubon meeting. If you're in the Pensacola area, that would be the Frances M. Weston Audubon Society, and they have meetings once a month on Thursday evenings, as well as field trips that you can look up on their website. And it's great to become a member, but you don't have to. And joining in on those field trips is a great way to see if you are interested in birding. And like I mentioned before, they often have binoculars available for people to try out. When we went out birding with the Audubon Society last weekend, we were all so excited to see the green-tailed towhee because for a lot of us, it was a new bird. And we aren't supposed to see it around here at all. It's very rare to see one in Northwest Florida. The furthest east that it typically gets is actually Texas. So it is very far out of its range, probably a little lost, but an absolute joy for us to witness. The way that birders know how to find birds and where they are is usually other birders. We actually have a really great network. There's this especially awesome program called eBird. It's this website that collects citizen science data, and birders will post what birds they see at different locations, what number of birds, what the birds were doing. Often they'll post pictures of the birds and notes, and that helps everyone know what's going on. So if you're just taking a hike and you happen to see something rare, you can inform the rest of the community and also have your sighting verified. So looking online at those communities, then talking to people at meetings are all really great ways to figure out where the birds are and what they're doing. There's a lot of ecology involved and communication.
So I got a text with some exact details on what went down the Sunday I went out with the infamous bird watchers of Pensacola / Northwest Florida. They said we had 19 participants and saw a total of 24 species, with the highlights being the green-tailed towhee and ash-throated flycatcher. Brenda, Jerry, and John were such a great help, and I really appreciate them joining in on the walk to keep the group organized and informed. Thank you again for this opportunity. I had a great time. This is quoted to Brian Camerano. Sorry if I murdered that pronunciation. There's a big overlap between the birdwatching community and a lot of other environmental interest groups. I think when I was there, I met a lot of different photographers who are interested in wildlife photography in general, and we're just kind of looking for a social group that shares their interests. And I also met a lot of people that worked in conservation in the state parks and whatnot that were there as well. They were very helpful. I didn't know what was going on. They were guiding me, and they would tell me where to point the binoculars. One guy actually brought this super fancy scope thing, which could see really far out. It's like, have you ever been hiking and you walk in on one of those sightseeing stands where you put your eyes in it and you pay like a quarter and you can see like 50 miles out? They had that, and anyone that was there, they were encouraging people and showing them the birds and explaining what it is and the significance of the birds. Birds are all around us. There is nowhere you can go where there are 0 birds. And where there are birds, there is a story. If you're interested in birds, you should join them and get involved and visit their website and their social media. Because even if you don't know anything about birds, what you're doing is you're hanging out outside with other people. You're outside. You're not alone. It's about building community.